Yes, our subject this morning was the Beatitudes. And the true churches, true faith, never persecute unbelievers. And we went through, I wish I'd left it up on the board just a little bit longer. We had all of the children of the Reformation up there, and all the children of the Reformation persecute non-believers of their groups. Anyway, I won't do that one over again. That will bore Roger. It would bore Roger. I keep talking here. Don't run out of voice, maybe. We had goodies over there for you. We still have some and some grapes. If you want some grapes at the end of the class, take some home with you. 3:16. Do you have any questions on the book of Exodus? We Ele Shemot. Pam? I mean, not Pam, but Sharon? No? Sharon? Mike? Roger? Dakota? Anyone? Revelation, I know. And all the other stuff. The book of Exodus. The book of Exodus, there have been a lot of movies made from the book of Exodus, haven't there? Yeah, a lot of movies with partial truth. But you hear sermons preached every day that don't make sense. How many sermons have you heard preached on the book of Beatitudes that were not on subject? I don't know whether you ever heard one on subject. It's talking about religious persecution, how to behave in the kingdom of God, the ethics of the kingdom. Who are the administrators of God's kingdom in the world today? Who is the administrator? Huh? The true New Testament church is the administrator in God's kingdom. The rest of them don't have anything to do with it. They're just out there wandering around. The family of God. Hopefully most of them are saved. Some of them are anyway. Well, let's go to Exodus 3:16. Exodus 3:16. We Ele Shemot. And these names. That's the name of the book. The Greek title of it is Exodus, the Way Out. Lek. We asafta. Et Sikne. Yisrael. We amarta. Elohim. Hadavar. Elohi. Abatikem. Nirah. Ele. Elohi. Avraham. Yitzchak. We Akov. Lemor. Pakad. Pekadti. Etkem. We et. Hasui. Lakem. Be Mitzrayim. Walk. That's what it says. Walk. Masculine, singular, call, imperative. Walk. And you gather up. Sign of the direct object, the elders, the geriatric ones. The elders of Israel. The elders of Israel. In churches today, we have Presbyterian rule and we have congregational rule. All right? And we have Episcopalian rule and different kinds of things. A church that has congregational rule, which is the biblical way, by the way. They even had a church called a Congregationalist because they wanted to act like Baptists almost. Almost. All early churches are democracies, all separate from each other. But they are run by the church itself, not the pastor. Baptist, during the Dark Ages, the Baptist made their pastors preach up to the congregation because they were servants to the congregation. And the Presbyterian church and the Anglican church and the Lutheran church, they all had their pastors up in balconies preaching down on the congregation, which is really a good way for sound. The Baptists went the other way. When a cow gets scared in the pasture, they run plumb all the way to the other side of the pasture and get away from whatever's scaring them. Baptists, they would run completely to the other side of the pasture to say, hey, we don't like that over because that's not scriptural. The pastor is a servant of the church. The elders are servants of the church. They are not rulers of the church. It's different, okay? And so they would make they'd dig a hole and have the pastor preach up to the congregation because he is lower than the people are. He is their servant. He is their slave, not their boss. Simple as that. He's not the boss. Okay. Elders, back at this period of time, who were the elders? The oldest people around, or what were they? Who were the elders? They were the heads of the different tribes. They were the oldest living members of the heads of the tribes. We have patriarchs and we have matriarchs. In the American Indian Society, most of the American Indian societies, the matriarchs, they trace the lineage to the woman. So did the Hebrews, by the way. They trace the lineage to the woman, not the man. Because they always knew who the mother was, but they weren't quite sure who the father was sometimes. Women sometimes weren't too faithful. So they trace it to the matriarchs. Okay? Much of the society in Europe and different places, they trace it through the fathers or the patriarchs, the head fathers. Okay? And that's who these were the heads of the different tribes, the living heads of the tribes. We know who they were originally. Who were they? Jacob's sons. All right? Judah, Levi, Simeon, all of these. These were the different heads of the tribes. Okay? But then, as they died off, then there would be one member of that tribe that was still the head of that tribe. There was one member that was still an elder of the tribe. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to get the heads, the living heads of the tribe of Levi. And another thing with the tribe of Levi, what was different than the tribe of Levi according to the book of Jasher than all the rest of the tribes in Egypt? What was different about the tribe of Levi? Thank you. That woman is sharp. Do you know how lucky you are to have her? It's just sharp. They weren't slaves. What were they? What did they do? They were goldsmiths. Okay, they were high technology. They were in high technology in Egypt. Okay, they're probably the ones that did all of that gold work that you see among the Pharaoh stuff. Okay, they probably the tribe of Levi did that. They did that on this video that I've had here from Arts and Entertainment. They show the lost 10 tribes. Of course, they weren't ever lost. I want you to understand that tribes didn't get lost. They were scattered out, and they followed the economy is what they did. And there is a group down in the Mediterranean of these Cohens, these priests, Levites, that are still gold and silversmiths. But anyway, we're talking about the elders of the tribe. Now that's where Moses and Aaron are going to go to the elders of the tribe. The elders of Israel. And you shall say unto them, Jehovah Elohi, Jehovah, the God belonging to your fathers, the one belonging to your fathers. He has appeared. He has appeared unto me, the God of Abraham. All right. What does Abraham mean? See, this is a test tonight.
Father of multitudes?
The exalted father of a multitude. What does Isaac mean? Yitzchak. What does that mean, Sharon? Laughter, pleasure. All right. And Jacob. What does Jacob mean? To follow the heel. Okay. Saying, visiting. Call infinitive absolute. Visiting, attending, nurturing, caring for. I have visited you. And is done to you in Egypt. I know what's happening to you in Egypt. And Egypt means what, Dakota? Land of red mud and canal banks. By the way, canal banks can also be used for what else? What does a canal bank remind you of in war? That's a trench. You can fight from a canal bank. You can fight from a trench. And Egypt did have a lot of wars. And by the way, while Joseph was head of Egypt for so many years, he was the head warrior. Did you know that? Not only was he the head warrior, but those boys of Jacob, they were tremendous warriors. You can read in the book of Jasher, and the Bible just makes mention of it. When they went up there and slew all the inhabitants, by the way, only Simeon and Levi, 2 men slew all the inhabitants of Shechem. 2 men wiped out a whole town. Within a few days, 10,000 people had surrounded Jacob. He said, "You've made me stink in the land." And he said, "There's more of us than you." And the boys, when they went home, they said, "Dad, that's all right. God's on our side. We can whoop them all." And they had to whoop 10,000 in just a few days. And then they went from city to city and attacked the cities. And as long as those elders were in Egypt alive, the Egyptians were scared to death of them. Because those boys could fight. One of Jacob's sons could kill 1,000 men or 10,000 men. One could kill that many people. And they didn't forget it either. Even until they were old. Jacob was over 100 years old out there fighting with his sons and all of the Canaanite battles. I ought to read some of that to you. 3:17. Wyomer. Ale, Etkem, Mione, Mitzrayim, El, Eretz, Ha-Kina'anai, We Ha-Hitti, We Ha-Emori, We Ha-Perizi, We Ha-Chewi, We Ha-Vusi, El, Eretz, Sabat, Halav, Udebash. And I have said, all right, now God has said this, I shall bring you up from affliction, from misery, from torture. I shall bring you up from the misery and the torture and the affliction of Egypt. All right? When the Jews have the Hasador today, they always remember one thing, their affliction. The Jews know how to suffer. I'm going to tell you, they know how to bawl about everything. They can really put it on, can't they? And they every year they put on this story about how that God brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, unto a land of the Canaanites. Now, how long ago in prophecy was this very event prophesied? How long ago in Jewish history was this prophesied that this was going to happen? The land of Canaanites. They were going to be there for 400 years. But who did God tell this? Who was the first man that he told this to? Who? No. One beyond Abraham. Who was the first man that he... I know you know Roger. Who? Noah. God told Noah this was going to happen. Way back there when Ham sinned. When Ham sinned against Noah, his father, he told him that the descendants of Ham, the Canaan, that his descendants would be a very bad people. And they would go down into the land, and they were going to become servants to the people of Israel. But they were going to be going down and taken off into a captivity, and they were going to be gone for a long time. And when they come back, they would inherit this land that they had not worked for. That these Canaanites would be their burden bearers. That they would be the ones that would build their homes and build their vineyards and have all the cattle in the land and everything else. God told Noah that long before that. And then he told Abraham that. He reinforced it with Abraham. And then he told Jacob the same thing. All right? So this story had been handed down. And I have said, I will bring you up from your afflictions in Egypt unto a land of the Canaanites. And they knew who it was. This was no mystery to them. They had heard this story all the way from the time of Noah. Okay? And the Hittites. The Canaanites and the Hittites. Who are these Hittites? Remember what the word Hittite means? Brother Mike, you remember what that word Hittite means? How about Sharon? Do you remember what the Hittite? Sharon? Both of my Sharons struck out? You don't remember this? All right. Dakota, what's Hittite mean? I remember John Shirley used to talk about the Hittites. He referred that blondes were all Hittites. That's what he used to say. Anyway. What did the Hittites mean? What did the word Hittite mean? Brother Roger, you remember that one? All right, boy, we're going to do some remembering tonight. Hittite means terrible ones, fearful ones, people that just absolutely made your skin crawl when you saw them. These are the Hittites. These are the powerful ones. These are the smart. They're not only powerful, but they are smart. The Hittites are the ones that invented all of the ironworks and the Damascus swords and all that kind of stuff. These people are the technicians. These are the ones that would lead out in all of the instruments of war. Okay? The terrible ones, the scary ones, the fearful ones. And the Amorites. These are the hillbillies. All right? These are the ones that are going to live in caves and going to live in the mountains. All right? These are the mountain dwellers, the hillbillies. Okay? And by the way, they were in the east of Jordan. And the Perizzites. Perizzites. That means the hamlet dwellers. And what else does Perez mean? Perizzites. What does that mean? Perizzites. Sharon, do you know what that one means? Many tekel upharsin. That's Chaldee. What does it mean? The last word in that. Upharsin. You, we know, means and, doesn't it? And divided. Divided. It means separated. The word Pharisee comes from this word Perizzite. All right? These Perizzites. The separated ones. The ones that dwelled in Hamites. And the Hivites. The Hivites are the city slickers. The root of this word goes back and means circle. Okay? And how do you build a town? Within a circle. Okay? Within a circle. And like a village. It in Latin is circumviet. To make a circle. Also, these are the people that made coins. Coins are round, aren't they? They would take gold and silver and bronze, and they would beat it and smash it with imprints on it, and it would be a round thing, a circuit. All right? A round thing. You are doing some remembering now? Remember we did this in the book of Genesis. I know.
400 years ago.
Yeah, 400 years before this. Yeah. 400 years we did this. All right. Weha-Vusi. And the Jebusites. The Jebusites, this has kind of got a double meaning. It means the trodden down ones, the subjected ones. And it also, in some places in the Hebrew Bible, this word is used as those that subdue and subject all others, the all-subjecting ones. Okay? These are either the subjected ones or the ones that are subjecting other people. Of course, they lived up there right by the Mount of Olives. The Jebusites were those people that inhabited the ancient city of Jerusalem. Jebus. Unto a land flowing. Masculine and singular call participle, flowing with milk and honey. With milk and honey. Those people over there in that area, they used milk for thousands of years. You know, not all people use milk in human society, have they? There is a people that their digestive system will not digest milk. A lot of that comes into different people. We have that little thing, but who are the people that can't digest milk? Who are they ethnically? Huh? No. American Indians. They did not use cattle, and they did not milk the cattle. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I started having trouble if I drank milk. A baby Indian can drink milk, but after he's weaned, you have no enzymes in your body to digest milk. This doesn't happen. For thousands of years, our systems were like that, and you don't change that overnight. All right. These people used a lot of milk. When I went over to the Middle East, I was in Damascus, Syria for about a week over there, about a week too long. Can you imagine being in Damascus, Syria for a week? Any of you guys? But there are a lot of tales around there. And what do I mean by tales? What is a tale?
Buried old site, and it's like a little hill.
Buried treasures. Yeah. That's what it is. You know that the people there in Damascus say that's where the Garden of Eden was? They've got the Garden of Eden out there. Right there. I've been there. That's where the street called Straight is. That's where one of the oldest marketplaces in the world is, in this Damascus. Well, there in Damascus, they practice a lot of the ancient culture. When I went into there, and we're going to, I hope, if Randall can do this, I recorded all of the different archaeologists, the doctors that were teaching us about all the archaeology when I was in the Middle East, and it's on tape. Even the gunfire and the bombs going off. Okay, now they're really hard to hear, but I recorded all of this on a tape. And brother, I didn't talk back then. Believe it or not, I didn't talk very much. And I was on there, and I think I only spoke 4 words in about 10 tapes. In over 10 hours of recording, I think I did 4 words. I said, it's on, it's on. That's all I said. Brother Madden was asking me if I had the recorder on because we were going to record something. We shared those recordings. But anyway, we were there in the Oriental Palace. And they were going, this is the last night we were going to be there. Now, we'd been starved to death all week. You go out there and you sit at a table that the white tablecloths are gray. We went into our bedroom up there, and Brother Madden and I slept together in the same room all the time, all the way through, all over Europe and the Middle East. And I went in there and I hit the table, I hit the bed like that, and the dust just flew. I never saw anything so backward in my life as this place was. And here, I'm an electrician also. I got a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in electronics, And here comes these twin lines coming in, and it's 220, all of this. But I mean the most primitive twin line wiring you could ever see in the world. There's dirt all over the floor. I go in the bathroom in there, and it's beautiful tile, but you can't see it because it's got 2,000 years of dirt on top of it. And don't like a lot of dirt. And so I brought some Comet with me. Always took Comet wherever I went, even when I went overseas. Had good lid on it. And I went in and I threw this Comet all over the floor, and I started down on my knees scrubbing the floor. And Brother Matt says, there's 2,000 years of germs on that floor, bro. Brother Phillips. I said, I'm trying to make a trail to the sink and to the toilet and to the bathtub. And the bathtub had a 3/4-inch pipe going up there. It was an old bathtub that stood on feet with a faucet on it with a yard sprayer on top of it, just like you'd take and spray the yard with no curtain. They didn't know what that was. It was a little cleaner around the bottom of that, a little bit. It wasn't quite that deep. This filth was this deep on the floor. It was real pretty underneath. I scrubbed it and got it because I didn't. And Brother Madden, he wouldn't take his shoes off. He said, I'm taking my shoes off. We went over there, and anyway, went down there at this last dinner that they had. We'd been eating food. Everything tasted like kerosene and stove oil or diesel. Everything, even the Coca-Cola. You didn't drink the water. I paid $1 a bottle for water, but they were taking it out, and I got sick. It almost killed me. Anyway, we went down there, and they had did everything like they did with Abraham. They said, we're going to give you Abraham's dinner that he fed the angels and God when he visited. Anyway, they brought out some real good-looking, thinly sliced meat, and they had some rice over here on the plate, some white, kind of almost white rice. I don't think anything was clean. On the table, you had a salt cellar and a sugar cellar, and both of them had dirt in it. It was just, everything was so filthy. And taking hair out of stuff all the time, just going here and there. You know, gives me the woolies even to this day. Anyway, they set that out there. They had a stack of plates. They didn't put your food together, but they're going to put this last plate, they're going to put it together. They have a stack of plates. However many courses you have, different things. They give you one thing at a time. You'd have a stack of plate. You'd eat that food and then take that plate and they'd put more food here and you just eat it. And, of course, none of it was fit to eat. So you had your choice. Brother Madden said, I'm starving to death. I lost 40-something pounds. Anyway, over there in just about 3 months. That's a good place to go lose weight. Anyway, they took this meat and this rice, and then they had this gravy. And this gravy was camel yogurt gravy. And that is the curds that Abraham fed to the angels. It was this fresh meat, and they had this bread, which was really kind of like tortillas, a little thicker. That's what we had. This is a royal feast. This was royal food. Brother Madden looked at that, and the meat was all right, and the rice was all right, and the bread was okay, but they took this camel yogurt and poured it right on top of the meat. And he took his plate off of his table. Now we're in Damascus, Syria. Okay? He takes it off the plate, off of the table, and puts it on the floor and says, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. This isn't fit to eat. You ruined my food." Well, it goes all the way back to this period of time. They take great pride in doing exactly what Abraham did, because that's the way that Mohammed did it. They wouldn't eat a piece of watermelon unless they did it like Mohammed did it. All right. 3:18. We shamu likolika yuvata ata wisigne Yisrael el melech Mitzrayim we are Martin Elah Hadabar Elohi Ha Ivriim Nikra Alinu Wiata Laka Na Derek Shilosheth Yamim Bam Midbar We Niz Biha Lihadavar Elohinu. All right. And they shall listen. Actually, what it says here, if you want to get the grammar correctly, they shall have listened. It's completed tense. All right? Third person, corporal, plural, cal, wow, consecutive, perfect. This is what we call a future perfect. They will do this. They will have done this. Okay? To your voice. And you shall come in, you and the elders of Israel, unto the king, the Melech of Egypt, and you shall say, actually it says, you will have said, he knows it, God knows exactly what's going to happen. All right? You will have said unto him, Jehovah. I said Hadavar up there because we don't know how to say that word. But that's what King James says is Jehovah God. Jehovah God belonging to the Hebrews. Ha-Ivri-Yim. What does the Hebrews mean? Remember what that means? What does Hebrews mean, Brother Abe? Hebrews. What does that mean? got an ancient meaning now. Let's go back and look and see what it means. What does Hebrews mean? Brother Mike, you remember what that one is? All right, Sharon, you want to shine forth? Sharon, I know you know.
Well, I know a joke about it.
Oh, yeah.
It just basically says in the Bible that men have to make the coffee because it's Hebrews.
Hebrews. Yeah.
That's all I know.
All right. It means from the other side of the river. The people on the other side of the river. That's what it means. People on the other side of the river. Those from the other side of the river. The Hebrews. And he has met. Look at that. He has met upon us. And now let us walk, please, the road, the journey, 3 days in the wilderness. And let us slaughter. Let us slaughter to Jehovah. By the way, no Hebrew woman could ever slaughter any animal. Did you know that? They were not allowed to slaughter animals because the women were not considered holy enough to slaughter the animals. They were not considered holy enough. In Italy and in France and in some parts of Germany, by the time of 1500 A.D., they allowed women to slaughter chickens. All right? Now, today, when I was showing a film on the television here, and it was even on here tonight, they slaughtered a sheep on there. And they took the sheep up. They slaughtered it. They showed the knife they were going to slaughter it with. They slaughtered the sheep. And then they were sacrificially slaughtering or dismembering this animal. And you know that part of that animal was God's, that nobody could have. You could not have that. One thing that was God's and you could not touch was what? What was one thing that was, Brother Mike? Brother, what was God's that no man could ever eat or touch? What? The blood. That was God's. And it was very special because the life was in the blood. So they would have to take, you could not, out here during this period of time, a man could not slaughter a sheep or a goat or a cow at home. You could not do that. If you did, it was a death sentence. Did you know that? During the tabernacle time, you could not slaughter a sheep or a goat or a cow. You couldn't do it at home. You had to take it to the priest. And the priest would slaughter it in a kosher way. It's kind of hard. The older you get, the less you like to kill things. Okay? But on this film this morning, they took this goat or lamb and they felt its throat to find out where its arteries were. The priest did. And they took a very sharp knife and he made sure the knife was sharp because they don't want the animal to suffer any more than it has to. Okay? And they felt where the arteries were and they slit its throat and they drained all the blood out because the blood is not theirs. And what else would they put on the sacrificial altar besides the blood? They didn't burn up the whole animal most of the time. What did they do? What? The fat. So they had to remove the fat. The Hebrew women were never allowed to slaughter a sheep or a goat or a cow. Only men that were trained, that knew the ceremonial way to slaughter these things. A woman could slaughter a chicken. Finally, by the time 1500 A.D., they finally said, well, women can slaughter a chicken, okay? Chickens, they're just chickens. But never a sheep. Matter of fact, I have documents at home that are written that allowed certain women to slaughter sheep, not sheep, but chickens. They had to have a document from the rabbi saying that they were privileged to slaughter a chicken. Okay? He has met us, and now let us go a journey 3 days in the wilderness, and let us slaughter. That's what it literally says. And let us slaughter to Jehovah, our God. Let us slaughter to Jehovah, our God. Wiani, Yadati, Ki, Lo, Yatin, Etkem, Melech, Mitzrayim, La Halak, Wilo, Biad, Haz, Zakah. Okay. And I have known. See that? This is what we call omniscience. This is showing signs of omniscience. I've got down here, I know, but that's what the real translation is I have known. God knew this in eternity past. Okay? I have known because, not, little adverb of negation there, not you shall keep on giving. He will not do it. He will keep on not doing this. Giving you, the king of Egypt, permission to walk. And not in a hand strong and mighty. All right? In a hand strong and mighty. 3 in verse 20 now. 3 in verse 20. Before I go any further, I'm going to show you something here. Now, all of us know what Brown, Driver, and Briggs is. Here it is. This here is all of my translation is numbered to this. The page numbers in this. You get it. But how many of you have ever, did you go get this book the other day? You got that book. You got a jewel. This is Young's Analytical Concordance to the Bible. You need this. All of you need this. This is something you can't do without. As you can see, I haven't been doing without it for a long time either. All of my books look like this because if I've used them. In this Young's Analytical Concordance, it's printed in small letter. You have to use a magnifying glass to look at that kind of sort of. I do. I used to see it without that. But it has all the Greek and Hebrew words and how to say them. You don't have to go chase a rabbit or look under a number to figure out something because it's going to tell you exactly what it means right there. Right where you go. And every place it's used in the Bible, in the Old and the New Testament, and all the different words. This is how I do all this stuff. See, I look at things like this. This is an analytical concordance. Anyway, you can buy these. It's much better than Strong's, much better than Cruden's, or anything else they got. Young's Analytical Concordance to the Bible. Have you looked at it much yet?
You know, I went out and bought a magnifying glass.
You went out and bought a magnifying glass. Well, I brought this tonight just to show you that if you want to look at this afterwards, you can. I've used that all my life. And I bought this one, well, not all my life, but I bought this one in 1973. That was a long time ago. Longer than some of your lives. Anyway, and I think I had one before that I wore out. That was the second one I'm wearing out. I need to go buy another Brown, Driver, and Briggs because that one's worn out. Kind of like Sharon's Bible. It's kind of falling apart. 3 and 20. We shalakti et yadi we kiti et Mitzrayim bikol nifliate asher that is esse bikerbo we achari can ye shala et kem. And I will have stretched out. I will have stretched out is what it literally says. I have down there, and I shall stretch out or send out. But in the Hebrew, the tense of the verb is like it's completed. It's perfect tense. I shall have stretched out, or I have sent out my hand, and I shall have struck Egypt. I shall have struck Egypt in all of my miracles, my wonders, all of my supernatural ability, things that are beyond explanation of physical science, things that cannot be explained away. That's what that word wonder there means, niphalite, liote. which I shall keep on doing in her midst, and her midst there is who? Egypt. Because Egypt, all nations are feminine. And afterward, because or thusly, he shall keep on sending away you. He shall keep on sending away you, and by the way, in the end, he's going to get rid of you and get you out of here and escort you away. All right, 321 now, 321. We not titi, et, ken, ha'am, hazeh, b'eneh, mitzrayim, we haya, ki, telekun, lo, teleku, rekam. And I shall give, I shall keep on giving from grace or favor, the people, to this, in eyes of Egypt. And it shall become, it shall have become, when you go, when you walk, not you shall go empty. When you walk, you're going to take away your wages for the 400 years. I'm going to fill you with gold and silver. I'm going to give you so much gold and silver that you people can go out there in the wilderness and not having to have mine gold or silver, and you'll have enough gold and silver to build the tabernacle and the golden calf. Now, they'll pay for your labor after the fact. You're going to get recompensed. God has blessed the Jewish people monetarily all down through the ages, and I brought out this morning also. He's blessed them down through the ages. What were they? What was their occupations all over the world, wherever they were spread? What did they do? They were bankers. All the pawn shops and hawk shops and everything else. They forbid them banking, so they started up pawn shops. They couldn't have a bank, but what is a bank? It's a pawn shop. Or a pawn shop is a bank. Okay? You got to have collateral for everything that they loan money on. I talked here a few weeks ago, the Christians in Christian lands, they would bring sometimes their very bejeweled crucifixes. And the Jews, they would take them as collateral for a loan. And all the time they had the little object, they would put it in the bottom of a latrine and urinate on it. That's what they would do. This is history. Now, this isn't baloney. This is history, okay? They did this. But they had, that was their material. That was their real estate that they were holding. That was their pawned item, okay? 322. We sha'Allah, Isha, Mishikita, Kinta, that is, you Mikgarath, Bita, Kale, Kisef, Ukale, Zahab, Yusemaloth, we Samtim, all Benichem, we all be notikem, we nitz satim, et Mitzrayim. And you shall have asked. That's literally what it literally says. You shall have asked. That's past tense again. You shall have asked, or you shall borrow, each woman, from her neighbor. Mishikenta, from her neighbor. And from the pilgrim in her house. This is talking about the Egyptian people. Anybody that's living in the house, or those are visiting, whatever, from the pilgrims in their house, in her house all of the things silver. All of the things silver, that's kosef, or kesef, that is. That's silver. All the things silver, and all the things zahab, that's gold. And garments, wrappers. A garment is a wrapper. And wrappers, and ye shall put upon your sons. All right, these wrappers. You shall have placed upon your son and upon your daughters. This is quite a plunder. This is what we're going to call the wages of war. Who's waging war here? God's going to wage war against all of their gods. That's what he's going to do. We're going to have a war of the gods. We're about to have a war of the gods. And you shall plunder, you shall strip off, and this is second person masculine plural, PL, while consecutive perfect. You shall have plundered. You will have plundered. This is plunder. All Egypt. You shall plunder all of Egypt. Waya'an. Moshe. Wayomer. Wihen. Lo. Wa'amenu. Le. Wilo. Yishmiu. Bikoli. Ki. Yomaru. Lo. Nira. Ileka. Hadavar. And he kept on answering Moses. And he kept on saying, and behold, not they shall keep on believing to me, and not they shall keep on listening to my voice, because they shall keep on saying, I'm bringing this all out, okay? Not, he has appeared unto you, Jehovah. They're not going to believe you. Who is these people aren't going to believe? Dakota? Who are these people? Brother Abe? Who are the ones that aren't going to believe? Israel themselves. Israel won't believe. When you go tell them this, they're not going to believe you. Go do this, Moses. But when you go there, they're not going to believe you.
Dr. Phillips?
Yes.
But at that moment, really, the person who are not believing is not Israel people.
This is the Jews that aren't believing. Right here.
The person who are not believing is Moses.
Well, Moses didn't believe, and the Jews didn't believe, and Pharaoh didn't believe. We got a bunch of non-believers here, but God's going to educate them. He's going to educate the whole bunch. They're all going to believe when he gets through with them. They're all going to believe. But right now, Moses doesn't believe. Aaron hadn't got there yet. Israel, God says they won't believe. And Pharaoh's not going to believe. Moses, you got a job here, boy, because you don't believe yet. But I'm going to prove to you that I can do this. I'm going to prove to you I can do this. You know, when God calls you to preach, I used to sit in a little old church when I was a young boy, right not too long after I was saved, and I had a call to preach. I knew that God was going to call me to preach, and I didn't see how in the world I was going to do it. Now, I get up here and talk and all of that stuff. I see you and I talk and things today. But back then, I'm going to tell you something. A teacher couldn't pry a word out of me in class. No way. I wouldn't talk. I didn't talk to anybody. I listened a lot. I didn't talk. When I went over to the Middle East in 1975 and 1976 with Darius Madden, when on those tapes, you will hear me. When you listen to all 10 hours of those tapes, if you do, if we get it out on the website, and all that stuff going on, I said, it's on, one time. You will not hear me say anything else. You'll hear Brother Madden in there all the time. He was right there with me, and you'll hear him saying making comments. I tell you, he made some funny comments, too. Real funny, but I didn't say a word. And I sat there, and I looked at that preacher up there preaching. I said, how in the world am I ever going to do that? You know how you do it? You learn your stuff. And you got plenty to talk about. You learn your subject and you can talk because you know about it. Brother Mike, when you go out and fix somebody's air conditioner or heater or something like that, you could tell them what's wrong, can't you? Because you know. You're educated to that fact. All right? You know how to do that. You know how to work on computers, don't you, Brother Abe? And program and do all that kind of stuff. Because why? You know how to do it. You can tell somebody that. When you know your subject, you can repeat it to somebody else. So the thing about it is you learn your subject and then you can get them to do it. I have no problem getting up here and preaching. I got plenty to talk about. It's there. If you listen to me preach 40 years ago, you'll see that I did a lot of Bible reading and very little talking. A lot of Bible. I let the Bible take care of it. I wasn't very good at it, but I sure did read a lot of Bible. I sure did preach a lot of Bible. A lot of people got saved. You'll hear some of those sermons that I preached, and 7 or 8 people got saved. 5 of them come forward for baptism. It was not much. 7 ducks in a muddy stream. One of them was on there. That's a real simple little childish sermon. But a lot of people got saved. A lot of people got saved. God's word does not return in him void. That's how you do it. These people didn't believe. But when God spoke to Moses, his word would not return unto him void. It was going to take its effect. Those powerful miracles were going to take place. Wayomer, Elal, Hadavar, Mazeh, Biyadika, Wayomer, Mate. All right. And he said unto him, Jehovah. What this? Now, we know that comes from Ma, by the way. The front of there, that comes from Ma. It's shortened there, right on the front of the word. It's added to the word, and it says, what this? What this in your hand? And he kept on saying, a rod, a staff. Now, this was God's rod, by the way. Did you know this was God's rod? According to the book of Jasher, this was the rod that God, even before he created anything, he held his rod. Even before he created the almond branch that rod was made out of, that's how old that rod is. And it had a sapphire stone on the top of it, according to the book of Jasher and Hebrew tradition. He said, what's that in your hand? Where did he get this? The book of Jasher? How many of you heard me read about this from the book of Jasher? All right. Have you heard that, Brother Mike? Sharon? Moses took this rod out of Jethro's garden out there. It was stuck in there that nobody else could pull out. And he picked it up. And this is the rod that God gave to Adam. That's an old rod. You know, right here it's almost 4,000 years old. Right here. This is, how old's that rod today? That's from the time he gave it to Moses. Adam. When God created the heavens and the earth, if he held that rod in his hand, like the book of Jasher said, that could be 40, 50,000 years ago. Maybe 100,000, 500,000 years ago. And we don't know when he created the heavens and the earth. He created man 6,000 years ago. And he handed that thing to Moses, or to Adam 6,000 years ago. But this is that rod. This is a very powerful rod. It is a staff which is a sign of authority. 4th chapter and verse 3. Wayomer. Hashli Kehu. Artsah. Wayashli Kehu. Atsah. Wahi. Li Nahash. Wayoma. Wayanas. Moshe. Mitpanah. And he said, throw him. Throw him. Masculine singular, hifal imperative, suffix, third person masculine singular. Throw him. Shalak. That's what the root of it is. Throw him to the earth. Throw him to the earth. And he threw him. What's it talking about? The rod. To the earth. Now, I want you to pay really close attention to what happens here. Okay? And he had become, or he kept on becoming a serpent for a serpent. This is a Nahash. It's going to change later now. This rod is not going to be a snake the next time he drops it on the ground. in Pharaoh's palace. Right here it's a snake. It's a serpent. Okay? And Moses fled to escape. He kept on running, Moses, from its face. That snake kept looking at Moses. And Moses kept running from the face of the Nahash. What does Nahash mean? Besides serpent, what does it mean? Huh? It means deceiving serpent. Deceiving serpent. Now the serpent, when God created the serpent, it was not a deceiving serpent, but the serpent became a deceiving serpent. The serpent became deceptive there in the Garden of Eden. Whose help did he have to become deceiving? Satan. Satan embodied that serpent. Wayomer, Hadavar, El Moshe, Shelah, Yadika, Wichaz, Biznavo, Wayishla, Yada, Wayachazek, Bo, Wahi, Lemote, Bikapal. And he kept on saying, Jehovah unto Moses, stretch out, send out your hand, and seize it by its tail. And he stretched out his hand, and he kept on catching him, and he kept on catching him, and he kept on becoming for a rod in his hand. Moses is in training. The next time that rod hits the floor in Pharaoh's palace, it's going to be a dragon. Now, this time it became a serpent, and it was a lesser miracle than the second time. This is a lesser miracle. Why is it not? Why didn't it become a tanin here? Why didn't it become a tanin? Why didn't it become a giant dragon? Because Moses would have took off, and he wouldn't have ended up till he come over here to California. He didn't believe yet. He hadn't believed yet. He was in training. He was in training. So Moses is training like we're in training. We're in training too, you know that? We think ourselves, we look back there and all this stuff, and they said, I wouldn't have done that. Oh yeah, we would have done that. We would do it. We do it every day, don't we? 4 and verse 5. We're about to quit up here pretty quick. Laman. Ya'amenu. Ki nera. Elika. Hadavar. Elohi. Avatam. Elohi. Avraham. Elohi. Yitzchak. We Elohi. Yaakov. In order that, or for the purpose of, that they may keep on believing, because he has appeared unto you, Jehovah God. The Jehovah God belonging to the fathers. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Four and verse 6. Wayomer, Hadavar, Lo, Od, Have, Na, Yadika, Bi, Chi, Keka, Wayave, Yado, Bi, Cha, Ku, Yarv, Siyah, Wihane, Yado, Metzoraat, Kash, Shilek. And he said, Jehovah unto him, again, still again, you bring, please, your hand into your bosom. That means inside of that wrapper. Put it inside, underneath your clothes. Into your bosom. And he brought his hand into his bosom. And he kept on bringing it out. And behold, his hand, leprous. Being leprous. like snow, being leprous, like snow. His hand had changed. There was no blood in his hand. It was white like snow, and it was diseased. His hand was diseased. Wyomer, Hashev, Yadika, El Chikika, Wayashev, Yadal, El Chiko, Wayatsia, Mitchako, Wihene, Sava, Kib Soro. And he said, you return your hand into your bosom. And he returned, he kept on returning his hand unto his bosom. And he brought her out. He brought her out. His hand is a her. Okay? He brought her out. That's third person masculine singular. Hifal, while consecutive, imperfect. Suffix third person feminine singular. From his bosom. And behold, she had turned just like his flesh again. Just like his flesh again. All right, 4 and verse 8. And we will quit there. Wihia, im lo, we amenu, lok, we lo, yishmiu, liko, haot, hayishon, we he menu, liko, haata, ha charon. And he shall become, all right, and he shall become, if not, they shall believe to you. And not shall they keep on listening to your voice, the sign, the first. And they shall believe to your voice, the sign, the one after the first. The one after the first. He said the second time, the second miracle, they're going to believe. That's going to scare them the daylights out of them. Well, we went from 3:16 to 4 and 8. Do you have any questions? 3:16 to 4. Yes.
When God's talking to Moses and telling him to do all this kind of stuff, he can't see God. Is it a voice he's hearing?
No, he's seeing God.
So we can't look at it. We can't.
He is not looking. Remember back what he's doing. Moses is seeing God's Shekinah glory. And he's seeing him speak from where? Where was God residing at this time? Where? In the blackberry bush. In the blackberry bush, we see the Shekinah glory burning in the blackberry bush, and the blackberry bush is not burning up because the Shekinah glory of God is there. Okay? Now, he could appear to him in the person of Jesus. Okay? Very easy to do. He did that to Abraham. He did that to Jacob, all that stuff. But he chose to show him this is my Shekinah glory, like is going to reside over the tabernacle. He is ready for the Shekinah glory. Did Moses ever see Jesus? Did Moses ever see Jesus? Huh? He saw him on the Mount of Transfiguration, yes. But did he see him before? One time. He saw him walking away. He put him in a cleft of the rock and put his hand over him, and he walked by him, and he saw him walking away. He saw Jesus. He saw Jesus 2 times that we know of. But here he sees the Shekinah glory of Jehovah, is what he sees
So
here.
he's still kind of talking to the bush.
Yes,
The bush is telling him
yes,
all this
and
stuff.
God's voice is coming out of the blackberry bush. And he's seeing the Shekinah glory of God. And then he asked him later on, we're going to see, Moses asked him later on, can't I see you? May I see you? And he said, okay. Then over there in the cleft of the rock, and he walked by and he saw his afterglory. He saw him walking away. But he saw Jesus in his glory. In the glory of Jesus. The next time he saw Jesus was on the Mount of Transfiguration. But the glory of Jesus shone there, didn't it? Because Jesus was like a bright light. His clothing was like a bright light. So every time Moses is coming around, Jesus is going to be shining. All right? That's even in the Old Testament or in the New Testament. Do you have any other questions? Brother Mike, you got any questions?
No.
No? You got it? Sharon? This Sharon? We're going to have the other mic. Have two Sharon mics. We really confuse them. Brother Abe, you got a question? Moses in training. That's the title of the message tonight. Moses in training. Moses in training. All right, Moses in training. No other questions? The other Sharon, would you like to come up here and dismiss us in prayer, young lady? We haven't had you up here for a while. Have to get all of you to do your little thing, do your little parts. Let everybody see who's up here.
Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for your living word. Thank you, Lord, that we have the freedom to learn your word, and that Jim is here to help us learn your word and remember your word. Thank you, Lord, and keep us all safe. Help us do something eternal. Thank you, Lord, for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for enduring those hard seats. And go on and do something.